What if some of the world's strangest myths weren't just products of imagination, but echoes of real animals and discoveries long forgotten? In this video, we're uncovering 5 mythical creatures you probably haven't heard as much about. Creatures that might have been inspired by fossils, misidentified animals, or cultural encounters. Let's dive into the mysteries. Number 5. The Roc. Legends from the Middle East and India speak of the Roc, a colossal bird so massive it could lift elephants into the sky. These tales appear in the Arabian Nights and in stories told by sailors across the Indian Ocean. At first glance, the Roc seems too impossible to be real, but there may be truth behind the legend. Madagascar was once home to the Epiornis, also known as the elephant bird. This giant, flightless bird stood nearly 10 feet tall, weighed around half a ton, and laid eggs bigger than a human head. Imagine ancient sailors arriving on the island and discovering bones, feathers, or enormous eggs, without modern science to explain them. The only logical conclusion was that they came from a monstrous bird. Over time, stories grew larger than life. What began as an oversized but grounded animal became the sky-soaring Roc. Today, the elephant bird is extinct, but its remains suggest a very real foundation for one of the world's greatest avian legends. Moving on. Number 4. The Tikbalang. In Philippine folklore, the Tikbalang is a towering figure. The body of a man, the head of a horse, and unnaturally long limbs. It lurks in mountains and forests, said to confuse travelers and lead them astray. To early communities, it embodied the fear of the wild, an unpredictable force hiding in the mist. But could the Tikbalang's origins be more down to earth? Horses were not native to the Philippines. They were introduced by the Spanish during the 16th century. For local people who had never seen horses before, their size, strength, and strange appearance could have been terrifying. Combine that shock with stories whispered around campfires, and the figure of a half-man, half-horse trickster may have taken shape. Some anthropologists also suggest the Tikbalang symbolized foreign invaders, strange beings arriving from faraway lands. Whether born from real horses or deeper cultural fears, the legend carried weight. And in mist-covered jungles where shadows play tricks, it wasn't hard to believe such a creature might be lurking just out of sight. At number 3. The Camahueto, a horned, bull-like sea creature that emerges from rivers and coasts, rampaging across farmland. It was feared for destroying crops and dragging victims to the sea. At first glance, it sounds like pure imagination, yet there may be a fascinating real-world link. Consider the narwhal, an Arctic whale famous for its long, spiraling tusk. In Europe, narwhal tusks were traded as unicorn horns for centuries, believed to possess magical powers. When these tusks made their way to South America through trade, they could easily have inspired tales of aquatic monsters with single horns. Fossils of unfamiliar marine animals found along Chile's coasts may have added to the legend. Imagine fishermen pulling strange bones from the sand, or hearing stories of foreign seas filled with horned beasts. To people seeking explanations, the Camahueto was born, a fusion of local mythology and distant natural wonders. It shows how legends can travel, carried by trade routes and sailors' stories, until they anchor themselves in new lands and become part of a culture's living myth. Number 2. The Adaro. In the Solomon Islands, fishermen once spoke of the Adaro, a half-man, half-fish being, born from rainbows. Unlike friendly mermaids, the Adaro was sinister. They hunted humans, sometimes riding deadly fish and launching them like weapons. Strange as this sounds, the myth may have real origins. The South Pacific is home to rare deep-sea creatures. Anglerfish, oarfish, and other bizarre animals occasionally wash ashore after storms. Oarfish, for example, can grow over 25 feet long and look eerily like serpentine humanoids when seen from a distance. For islanders living close to the sea, encountering such alien-looking fish could have easily sparked tales of human-like sea people. Some scholars also suggest the Adaro reflect encounters with dangerous outsiders, warriors or raiders who came by sea, bringing violence and fear. Over generations, memories of those encounters merged with natural sightings into one chilling myth. The Adaro remind us that oceanic legends often hide real observations, whether of strange marine life or human enemies emerging from the waves. The Ammit, In ancient Egyptian mythology, Ammit was a terrifying hybrid monster, part lion, part crocodile, and part hippopotamus, known as the Devourer of the Dead. Ammit sat beside the scales of judgment. If a soul's heart was found heavier than truth, she would consume it, condemning that spirit forever. But this monster may not have been entirely symbolic. Consider the Nile itself. Crocodiles lurking at the banks, hippos charging through the water, and lions prowling the deserts beyond. Each of these animals was among the most dangerous known to ancient Egyptians. For people who lived in awe and fear of the river, combining them into a single, ultimate predator was a natural leap. Archaeologists have also found that Egyptians encountered fossilized remains of massive prehistoric animals, which may have further inspired composite creatures. Ammit represented both religious justice and the terrifying forces of nature. While she never physically existed, her body was stitched together from predators that certainly did, making her one of the clearest examples of how myth grows. From the dangers of the natural world